Grace, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good.
Great to see you. Just giving a quick intro and then I will welcome you in. So if you haven't seen what's up yet on UnitedWorldWrestling.org's social media channels, make sure you check that out. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and subscribe on YouTube. But without further ado, let's welcome in two-time European champion and U23 world champion, Grace Bullen from Norway. Grace, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation.
So, I'll give you the floor here. Do you want to start with back in the day, or do you want to start with this year because you've had a heck of a run already, or do you want to start with some older stuff?
Let's just start with some older stuff.
Okay. Usually, I'm not sure if you've seen the show, but what I like to do is always start out the show by giving the guest an opportunity to tell fans how they got started in wrestling, why they got started in wrestling. But your story is so unique, and you went from a refugee to a world champion. So I want to start first by giving a little background information of your story on how you got to Norway, and then we'll jump into the wrestling if you don't mind.
Yeah. We came to Norway when I was 4. So me, my family, mother, father, and 4 siblings. So we ended up in Fredrikstad. We were fled here with UN, and they placed us here. My father started to go to language school to learn the language Norwegian, and he met my coach that I'm still using to this day, George Costin. So they started talking together, got to become like became good friends, and he said, like, do you have any children? And my father was like, yeah, I have a bunch of them. How many do you need? So me and my 2 older sisters started wrestling right away, and I just kind of liked it from then on. So,
and what was it about wrestling that you liked?
Well, I liked the community that was there, how the people were and how they just received me. I wasn't a person that talked a lot or said much, unlike my older siblings. So and also that I was getting I got the ability to be a place with my siblings and just kind of have fun without always have to talk, because I didn't like to talk so much.
And were you good at wrestling when you first started, or was it something, because you usually not usually, but sometimes you hear these high-level wrestlers, they weren't so good, like with Helen Maroulis, she didn't win a match her first year, but stuff like that. Were you successful early on in your career, or did that success come late?
I wasn't good, but I wasn't bad either. I actually was like, I won my first match. I won kind of regularly. It wasn't that hard, but I was always beat down by my siblings at practice. So for like, no one really saw me as a person that would become really good in wrestling from the beginning.
Did you play any other sports while you were growing up, or was it just strictly wrestling?
For me, it was strictly wrestling. I tried one other sport. I tried handball for one practice, but I was like 10, 11, I guess. And the workout there was kind of lazy compared to what I'm used to at wrestling match.
Nice terms, right?
Yeah.
Not as physical as wrestling. And now you have went on to this career that has put Norwegian wrestling, and especially Norwegian wrestling for women, on the map. And to think about the success you've had, and you mentioned it coming from South Sudan, you not only represent one nation, but when you represent 2 nations. So it may say NOR on your singlet, but to you, it's much bigger than one nation. So when you look back at all of this, what do you hope your legacy is going to be, not only for wrestling in South Sudan, but wrestling for females in Norway?
Well, I want people to kind of see that it doesn't really matter where you come from, but what you want to do it also doesn't have any destination. You just do what you want to do, and if you really work hard for it and you really want it, yeah, it's really possible, I will say. And the fact that I do represent 2 nations make me feel like I have like bigger platform and can reach out to more people, and that the fact that more youth around the world can watch me wrestle. I like to do a lot of stuff, so I would just say yeah, wrestling is awesome because I get to do a lot of stuff for many people and with a lot of people too.
A lot of eyes have been on you, and I'm not sure if you've seen this yet, but the helicopter, the signature move that Florian Bacour put together on our social media channels. Did you check that out?
Yeah, I saw it. Thank
How
you.
cool was that?
It was really cool.
Well, it's cool from your end because you're the one doing the moves, but on the other end, some of those look brutal. Uh, so what was your goal coming in when you started to wrestle? And you said you had success, somewhat of success story early, but when you got to the world level, what were your goals? Because you've competed cadet. I don't know if you competed on the junior level, U23 for sure, and senior level. So, what were your
I,
goals when you first started?
well, I beginning I was like I didn't. It wasn't my intention to become like really good in wrestling. Coming from South Sudan and being a refugee, my parents were really strict. So they said like, for us, school is first priority, and we took that really seriously. So when the transition from like to high school, I told my parents like, yeah, I want to do wrestling for a little bit longer, and it was right before the Cadet World European Championship, and my father said like, yeah, if you want to do wrestling, you have to do good in the world, like Europe. And he told me like, if you get a medal or do good, we'll let you continue doing it. So it was in 2013, and I became a European Championship champion for the first time, and he told me like, yeah, you can do it for a little bit longer. So at that time, I also knew myself that wrestling was something I wanted to do, and I continued competing in it.
I'm sure he was happy after the European title, but what did he say after the Youth Olympic Games title?
Oh,
Because that came a year later.
yeah, that came a year later. He was really excited and really happy that something that I loved and kept me out of trouble, and just it kept my mind on something because I still had to do good in school, because that was still our like main goal by coming here to Norway, so we could get a proper education.
And you've had multiple highlight reels with the just for example with the helicopter. One of your signature moves. It's highlight after highlight when you watch you wrestle. But when I think about Grace Bullen wrestling, I think of high energy. I think of attack style, and you in that underhook. You can throw from anywhere. But one of the defining moments from your career came in 2018 at the U23 World Championships in the finals against Jung Ning, who like 2 weeks before won the senior world title in Budapest. So let's talk about that match. You and Jung Ning have a history between each other, and I'm sure you knew what was at stake going into that match because Norway had never had a female win the U23 world title. So what were your goals going into that match?
Well, the goal was just to take the gold, but I knew it was going to be tough because I just met her and lost with 10 points, and that was really beautiful. That was like a slap in the face. You're not really good enough right now. And I did think about that a lot, kind of like, what did I want to do at the other match? Being more calm, not taking any risk that are unnecessary. So kind of not doing as many shots, leg attacks or any type of attacks that I usually do because I love to entertain. Was kind of tough, yeah. Being patient because you also have to be remembered for the medal to take, not just the shots you miss. And for me, going in there was frightening, but really exciting. I had really excitement by doing.
15 seconds left. She gets to that shot, comes up to her feet, and so you're down at this point. I believe it was 2-1. Whatever it was, you were down by 1 point, and you give up a single leg with 15 seconds left, and you go chest wrap to 4, and you look up at the clock, and there was like 8 to 10 seconds left, and you start celebrating. You knew right there that you had won, right?
Yeah, well, it was really fun. Just missing, like, first when she took my leg, I said, yeah, here you go. But no, I was like really upset with myself because I let her take my leg in the first place. But knowing that I'm better defense than sometimes it's kind of good to have in your back of your head. So I think looking back at it, I don't know why I celebrated so early, but I know also I could feel her letting loose and not like getting up and keep on attacking. So I was kind of lucky, yeah.
Was that your favorite moment of your career?
I will say it was my favorite upturn. Yeah, because what happened a couple of weeks earlier with not getting medal at the World Championship and just feeling like this season was over. So that will be the best kind of celebration to the end of season.
We'll move to 2019, the World Championships. Again, you miss out on the chance to earn a berth for the Olympic Games. You lose to Anastasia Nichita in the quarterfinals, or
yeah.
So let's talk about that match. That was, I think we could agree that that wasn't the normal Grace Bullen that we're used to seeing. Not a lot of offense came from that match. You give up a 4-point move early on, and you have to fight. You're trying to dig out of a hole. When you give up that initial 4 points, what's going through your mind?
Well, first of all, it's like I was thinking about all the times I've actually done defense on it on the wrestling mat, so it kind of sucks to just give up the easy 4-point there and just trying to get up from being under so early and knowing that you still have more than 5 minutes left in a match. It takes a lot from a person, yeah. So I'm not that happy with that match because everything from my body and my mind wasn't really connected to do a good match and show off what I've been working on.
And the majority of her offense came from that underhook. So with you have people have so much footage on you now, and you like to get to that underhook, and that's where you work from your offense from. But with all of the video comes the other side of it. Now people have the opportunity to scout you, and clearly she had the recipe. When you jack that underhook, she's going to try an arm spin, she's going to try an arm throw, whatever it may be. But you finally adjusted after the third takedown. So now moving forward, what lesson did you learn from that? Because people have they know that you're going to throw that underhook, and if they watch that Nichita match, they'll see that she did the arm throw multiple times on you and it worked. But what did you learn from that match about yourself?
Well, other than that, people really do study me. It's like I just have to be more prepared. I must be even better at the stuff that I know, because my goal is to become so good at something that even the best one cannot defend from it. And Nichita is a really good opponent. She is one of the person that I want to meet because she makes me want to get better. So I can't wait to meet her again. I thought I was going to meet her at the European Championship, so I could finally see where I'm at and how far I'm, because I just came from the Worlds until the Europeans. But I hope that I get the chance next year.
And just for context, for those who don't know, Nichita ended up bumping up to 59 kilos, defeating Biljana Dudova in the finals there to win her European Championship. So you wanted 57, she wanted 59. But
not that much.
And for the fans who don't know, that quarter of your bracket at the World Championships had it was Odunayo Adekoroye, it was yourself, Risako Kawai, and Nichita, and that's one heck of a side of her, or that was the half of the bracket. But when the bracket came out, what did you think having Kawai and Odunayo on your side?
Well, I never met Odunayo, so that will be like, I'm really excited to meet people that I've never met before. So I wish that I would won against Nichita, then I will kind of just going on to meet people that I've never wrestled. So when the bracket came, I was just seeing the first match and the second match. Then that was my focus. I didn't think much of it after that.
Moving
more further than that. So yeah.
Moving to this year, 2020, you wrestle in the Mateo Pelicone, and this is crazy. When we were in the media team, we went to the Pelicone, and then we went right to Switzerland for the UWW Media Summit, and we were looking at results from the Clip and Lady Open, and we couldn't believe that you went from the Mateo Pelicone to Clip in Sweden and competed 2 days apart. How did you feel after competing? Because at the Pelicone, you wrestled 4 matches, but your final match was against Linda Murray, who was the defending world champion. So then you have high-level competition, and you go and you compete 2 days later. What was your body feeling like?
Oh, well, I have a really tough coaching team. We went there knowing I did sign up for the Clip and Lady Open beforehand. So when I came to Italy, it was like, if I do get 3 or more matches that are really tough, I won't do the Clip on. But I got 4, and I didn't get medals. So they're like, Grace, you're gonna have to work on to compete, and also compete when your mind is tired and need to be focused, because sometimes you lose a match and you have to do another match that you really don't feel doing. So that was our initial thought of going to Clip and Lady Open, and it was good because I got to wrestle even though I was tired, my mind was tired, but my focus was there, and I was able to do my matches well without risking too much. So that's well, thank you, coaching team. I would just say, because it was a tough week. Yeah.
But the positive note, they did allow you to bump up to 59, right? You didn't have to stay at 57.
Yeah.
Thank
you for that. So it would be a long trip back home if I had to go down.
And after that, you go to the European Championships. Of course, you do win the gold medal. And if I'm not mistaken, when you won back in 2017, Felix Baldoff also won in 2017. So Norway always, it's Grace Bullen and a Greco wrestler. And this year was Morten Thoresen and yourself winning again. So what is it about you and Greco-Roman wrestlers winning European titles the same year?
Well, I guess we like to do it together, like, but it's really fun because the team between the Greco and the freestyle team are really close, and we talk with each other a lot. And during competition, big as European Championship or World Championship, we always support each other, and I really like that about Norway. And I feel like it's a great big team that are always traveling together.
Getting better as you guys go on, and you really stepped up at those European Championships. What were your overall impressions? Because when you look from an offensive standpoint, we talk about Grace Bullen and her offense and how electric it is, but then from a defensive side, I really saw a difference in you. You were more patient, and you talked about that a little earlier, but when you're looking back at those matches, 5-0, 2-0, and 6-1. So you gave up 1 point through the European Championships. Are you happy with that? Is that something you look back on and...
Yeah, I'm not so happy with that. It should have been 0, but because I always want to see where I can become better, where I can get better, and but it was like I would say it was a smart move, not giving more, and the way that I gave it was just to pass the time. And looking at that, I'm really happy with it. Yeah. So, but I only got 3 matches. When I win, I really want to win with getting a lot of matches, top matches, because then the heavy medal feel more worth it to me.
Now we mentioned you're sitting on the outside of the Olympic qualifications, and you're trying to get in. Now you'll have to go to the European Olympic qualifier. And if we just run through a couple for now from Europe, you have Nichita, Irina Kurachkina of Belarus, and then Rosician from Poland, but not qualified. That is the bigger picture here, because you have Emse Barka of Hungary, multiple-time world medalist, Elif Yeselmark of Turkey, multiple-time world medalist, Johanna Lindborg, countless names.
Mm-hmm.
is there somebody that you're training for the European Olympic qualifier that, because you're going in, you're one of the favorites, of course, but that on paper doesn't really matter. It happens on the mat. So who are you looking forward to wrestling at the European Olympic qualifier?
All of them. Like
Everyone.
everyone. Last qualification, I went there and was like, yeah, it will be good because I got second at the European Championship some months before. So, and I ended up not qualifying. So I will say, no matter who I meet, it will be great for me. So I go there, I go and practice now, so I become better. Not so I'll be ready for whoever that I will meet in the circle. So and all of the names are great, and they've done a lot of things, and because of them, I want to become better. So I'm really excited to go on the mat next year.
The ultimate goal, of course, is an Olympic gold medal for you. To
Yes.
get, just have you pictured yourself? We talked to Frederick Bear, who's a couple weeks ago, and he said after he qualified for the Olympic Games, he woke up 6 days in a row dreaming. He was mid-dream of hearing Denmark's national anthem while he stood atop the podium. So have you dreamed about hearing the Norwegian national anthem, standing on top of an Olympic podium, watching that flag being raised? Is that something you think about?
That's something I think about. Yeah. I think a lot about just being there holding my both flags and just representing Africa, South Sudan, and Norway. So just no matter where I go, I always think about being there on my next big goal, which is the Olympics. So it's really nice to talk about, like, because getting out there and holding it in for me, which I've done a lot, just like talking a lot about it. I feel like that's something that can become reality, and it will be nice getting there soon.
Does that goal scare you, because most people, you've got to the point where you are today is because you set your goal so high and others aren't willing to do that. You set your goal to be an Olympic champion. That is something that 6 women will say in 2021, 6 women will say they are Olympic champions. Is that something that keeps you up at night? And does it scare you? Because with your dream being so big, it's mind blowing. But do you sit back and ever get afraid of that goal?
It's both kind of. A lot of feelings get into my mind or my heart when I say stuff like that, because it's scary because it can become a reality, and exciting because it can be my reality one day, even if it's like 21 or 24. And just knowing that to the European or World or the Olympic Championship, that I can be the one that's on top. And that is something that drives me every day to kind of go there, and knowing that my practice is because I want that feeling. So it's good that it's scary, because then it pushes me to do even better in my daily routines.
Now, life after wrestling, let's talk about that. We'll start here. With quarantine, you had all this time to do nothing. Everyone had time just to sit around and think about what they like doing outside of their normal life. So your normal life is wrestling. What were you doing during quarantine?
Well, for me, when everything shut down, I went to my doctor. Am I back?
Oh, sorry.
Back on?
Yes.
So for me, after everything got shut down with the qualification and everything, so I went to the doctor and got a knee surgery, just healing my body and fixing the problems that I didn't have time in my schedule to do. And really, right now, I'm just training, preparing, enjoying life, and I've been done that. It's nothing much that I've changed, because I feel a lot of people say that after when quarantine happened, they just became like in a house, and stuff like that, and that was my life before too. So nothing much has changed from going to practice and coming back home.
And your knee is doing better now?
Yeah, it's all good. We started small wrestling because I kind of live with someone else, so we're training together twice a day and through all this period.
after life, after wrestling life, what are your plans? What do you hope to do? Are you going to coach, or what is it that you're hoping your life will look like after wrestling?
That's I'm still wondering about that, but I know I will still stay in wrestling somehow. I will probably go back to Africa. I will probably teach wrestling, and we need more people in this sport. We need more girls in this sport. So I'm willing to spend the rest of my life to just teach people about the amazing sport that I have for my life.
Well, great, Grace. We are out of time for today. I want to thank you for joining. We really appreciate it. The floor is yours now. Please tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, and if you have anything you'd like to plug, please take it away.
Yeah, just follow me at Grace Bullen 7, and that's about it.
Perfect. I'm Eric Olanowski, your host of UWW Live. Make sure you're checking back on our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube for all of our upcoming pieces. Next week, we'll be releasing top 5 women's wrestlers from Canada. We'll also have top 5 Azerbaijan wrestlers coming up. India, USA, Turkey, Russia, all of those are up on our social media channels. Until next week, we'll see you then.